Welcome to Dev Pointers. Today I'm going to show you how to list and download Azure blobs using PowerShell. First, I will show you what are the blobs that I'm going to download. Then I'll walk you through the PowerShell script itself. And then I will execute the script to download the blobs. And finally, I will share a link with you so that you can download the PowerShell script and use it for your own purpose. So let's get started. So as you can see here, I'm in Azure portal. I have a storage account here called dev orders SA, and in there I have a container called orders, and inside that container I have two blobs, basically two JSON files. So I'm going to download all the blobs inside this container using the PowerShell script. Okay, so this is the PowerShell script that we are going to use. We need some parameters before we can run the script. We would need the subscription ID, where your storage account is in Azure, and we'll need the storage account name. We need a storage account key to authenticate. We need the container name, which I just showed you. It was orders, and then the download location on the your local machine where you want to download the blobs. So if you look at this location that I'm using, it's a user share, and if I show you here, see there is no files right now, but when I will download, all the blobs will come here. So the very first command in the script is to connect to Azure, connect AZ account. This will basically take you to the Azure, and you'll have to add your credentials, and then once you authenticate, the script will resume its execution. The second step is to point to the current subscription, like whatever subscription you have passed here. It will set the context of this PowerShell session to point to that particular Azure subscription. The third command here is to basically create a storage context. Once you have the storage context, you can run the commands targeted to that particular storage account. So for storage context, we need a command called a new AZ storage context. You'll pass the storage account name and the key, and then you will execute commands using this storage context. So in this script, what I've done is I've created a function. So basically, it's like the modular approach, and then you can call this function to download the blobs. So let's go over this function, and then I'll go to the call that I'm making to this function. So this function has four parameters. One is the storage context, container name, download location, and I have a parameter called last modified in days. So this is basically an optional parameter for you. What I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to download the blobs that were modified in last 2 days or 3 days or whatever. So that number is basically passed in this parameter. So if this value is, let's say, -2, then it means that I want to download the blobs that were modified in last 2 days and not the ones that were older than last 2 days. So yeah, and then the very first command here is to get Azure storage blob. This will basically give you the entire list of blobs residing in that container. So in this blob list, I have the complete list of all the blobs that are in this container. Here I'm just writing the count, how many blobs were found. And then I'm doing a filter. So this is again an option for you. If your need is not to filter, you can directly operate on the blob list. So what I'm doing here is that I'm using the blob list, and then I'm filtering this based on the last modified date. So I'm using a pipe operator here, the PowerShell. It will basically check every blob entry in this blob list and apply this script condition, and then return only the ones that will satisfy this condition, which says that the last modified date of the blob should be in X number of days, right? So that days is a parameter value. So again, if I pass -2, that means this command will give me the blobs that were modified in last 2 days. And then once I have the filter blobs, now I can download these blobs. And for that, I'm using a for each loop, and I'm also using a parallel option on the for each loop, meaning that the for each execution will not run in sequence but in parallel. So that this is basically a faster option of the for each loop. And throttle limit is basically how many parallel runs of this sequence are allowed. So I'm using a 4 here. The command to download blob is get az storage blob content. You pass the container name, you pass the blob name, and that is coming from this list. And then you pass the context, and then the destination, which is basically this download location. And so yeah, so this is the function that will download your blobs. You can modify this function as per your needs. And in the main sequence of the script, I'm just calling this function by passing all these arguments. And you can see here I'm passing last modified in days as -2, meaning that I just want the blobs that were modified in last 2 days. Okay, to run the script, I will press the execute button and it will take me to the Azure login screen. So let's do that. You can see here, I'll just have to select my account. I'm logged in. Let's go back to the script execution. And here you can see the download is complete. So you can see here the output of the script where it says 2 blobs in the container, 2 blobs matching the criteria, and it has downloaded 2 blobs. And that we can see in our shared location that we passed in the script. So I hope this was helpful. You can download the script from the link that's on the top. You can see in the video. And feel free to like the video and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your time.